What happens when you try to body slam the wrong player? What happens when you mistake quiet toughness for weakness? Ask the Washington Mystics, because when they tried to send a message to the Indiana Fever, no Caitlin Clark, no problem. They thought they were about to roll over an easy opponent. But then Sophie Cunningham showed up, and everything changed. This wasn't just a preseason game. This was a declaration, a warning, the birth of a new identity for a team that was tired of being pushed around. And it all started when Sophie got slammed to the floor. For the first time in 5 years, Caitlin Clark was sidelined. That sentence alone shocked WNBA fans. No one had seen a game without her since her high school days. At Iowa, she was indestructible. Every game, every season, she showed up. And in the early moments of her WNBA career, she looked ready to carry that same durability into the pros. But against the Washington Mystics, Clark was a scratch. Left leg tightness. Coach Stephanie White made the call just before tip-off. We're key. Thinking long-term, she said, not just this game. And while that's smart for Clark's health, the effect on the team was instant. The Fever didn't just lose their leading scorer. They lost their confidence. Or so the Mystics thought. What followed was anything but a team folding under pressure. Right from the tip, Washington came out throwing metaphorical elbows, aggressive traps, shoves under the rim, hard screens. A message was being sent. We're not afraid of you, even with your new pieces. The Fever stumbled, missed layups, turnovers, no flow on offense. They looked hesitant, timid even. In the first quarter alone, Indiana was outscored 24-13. The arena, packed with over 12,000 fans, was eerily quiet. That's when Stephanie White lit a fire. During a timeout, she challenged her players in front of the crowd. You see these fans? They didn't show up to watch you drag ass. Now fight. And one player took that message personally. Lexi Hull wasn't the star. She wasn't the focus of the preseason hype, but she was exactly what the Fever needed. Coming off the bench, Hull brought energy the second she touched the floor. She flew into passing lanes. She ripped the ball from opposing guards. She dove for loose balls like it was a Game 7. Her stat line? 4 steals, 13 points. But again, this wasn't about stats. It was about momentum. Suddenly, the Fever had life. Kelsey Mitchell later said, Lexi brought the juice. And Cunningham? She noticed too. Because the spark Hull brought lit the fire Cunningham was about to unleash. The Indiana Fever had a reputation, and not a flattering one. They were seen as the soft team, the team that backed down, the team that got bullied in the paint and didn't fight back. Opponents knew it, fans knew it, and most painfully, the players knew it. Clark's arrival was supposed to change that. So were veteran additions like Sophie Cunningham and DeWanna Bonner. Experienced players, gritty players. But reputations die slowly. The Mystics came into Gainbridge Fieldhouse with one plan: get physical early, set the tone, let Indiana know they're still the little sister of the league. They didn't expect what would happen next. To understand what happened next, you need to know who Sophie Cunningham is. She's not just a shooter, not just a role player. She's chaos wrapped in toughness, trash talk with a jump shot. The player opponents love to hate, because she never stops coming. Drafted out of Missouri, Sophie earned her reputation in college as a grinder. She played like she had something to prove. That attitude never left. She talks. She barks. She'll bump you after the whistle. But she's not dirty. She's driven. And when the Fever brought her in during a multi-team trade, it wasn't just for buckets. It was for edge. And now, edge was about to meet fire. Midway through the second quarter, with the Fever clawing their way back into the game, it happened. Kiki Iriafen, a Mystics rookie, grabbed Sophie Cunningham as they fought for a rebound and slammed her to the floor. It was shocking, brutal, and completely unnecessary. The crowd froze. Sophie didn't. She bounced back up, got in Iriafen's face, let her know, you picked the wrong one. The refs reviewed it, called it a flagrant one, but even that felt soft considering the impact. Cunningham wasn't rattled. She was activated. The entire momentum of the game shifted with that single moment, and everyone in the arena felt it. But the Mystics weren't done. Later in the game, Cunningham was shoved again, this time by veteran Brittany Sykes. It was late, unnecessary, and deliberate. Enter DeWanna Bonner. She wasn't having it. She stormed into the confrontation, standing chest to chest with Sykes. No hesitation, no fear. The Fever bench exploded. Indiana had backup now. Muscle. Brotherhood. Or sisterhood, rather. This wasn't about basketball anymore. This was pride. Sophie was no longer standing alone. She had a team behind her. And that made her even more dangerous. After that second hit, Cunningham flipped a switch. She attacked from every angle. Pull-up jumpers, mid-range daggers, baseline cuts. And with every basket, her intensity grew. There was something different in her body language. She wasn't just playing basketball. She was making a statement. Final stat line, 21 points on 6 of 11 shooting, 8 rebounds, 7 of 8 from the line. She did it all while drawing the toughest defensive matchups and setting the tone for her team. But it wasn't just her numbers. It was how she did it. Physical, fearless, and focused. This wasn't Sophie the role player. This was Sophie the enforcer. While Cunningham was dominating on the scoreboard, Hull kept grinding in the trenches. She wasn't just defending. She was irritating, getting under the Mystics' skin, anticipating passes, poking the ball loose, making the crowd erupt. She and Sophie had synced. They were feeding off each other, and the crowd felt it. The energy in the building went from nervous to electric. You could hear it with every fever stop, every layup, every flagrant foul. Indiana wasn't backing down. They were pushing back. And suddenly, a 15-point deficit became a 2-point game. And then, they tied it, and were just getting to overtime. When regulation ended, the scoreboard read 79-79. Indiana had erased a 15-point deficit. And they had done it through pure grit. No Caitlin Clark, no superstar bailouts, just effort, toughness, and heart. As the overtime period began, the Mystics looked stunned. Their physical game plan had completely backfired. Their intimidation tactics had done nothing but awaken Indiana's fury. And leading the charge was Sophie Cunningham, now in full control of the game. She slowed the pace when needed, hit clutch free throws, found Lexi Hull on a perfect cut, grabbed a crucial rebound in traffic. It was a masterclass in late-game poise. The Fever weren't just surviving, they were dominating. Let's break down Sophie Cunningham's overtime performance, because it wasn't just about scoring, it was about leadership. Every possession felt like a test of control. The Mystics were disorganized, turning the ball over, miscommunicating, on switches. Meanwhile, Cunningham was setting screens, slipping into space, and communicating constantly. She pointed out mismatches. She calmed her teammates when the pressure spiked. She acted like a coach on the floor. And then came the moment that sealed the game. Lexi Hull poked the ball free, sprinted down court, and fed Cunningham on the wing. Sophie pump-faked, drew contact, and sank the and-one floater. Crowd erupted. Bench exploded. Mystics cracked. It was over. When the buzzer sounded and the Fever completed the comeback, Gainbridge Fieldhouse shook. It was a preseason win, but it felt like a playoff victory. Not because of the scoreboard, but because of what it represented. And then, complete silence. From the Mystics. No handshakes, no congratulations, just a cold, straight walk to the locker room. They didn't want to face Sophie, didn't want to acknowledge what just happened. They had tried to break her, they had targeted her, and she had cooked them. On both ends of the floor, on the scoreboard, and in the hearts of 12,000 screaming fans. After the game, Coach Stephanie White didn't hold back. "Oh my God, Sophie's a dog," she said at the press conference. "That's not just basketball slang. That's the highest compliment a coach can give. A dog in hoops means relentless. Tough, unbothered by pain or pressure. She lifts the whole team the moment she steps on the floor," White continued. "Her communication, her toughness, it's contagious." But White wasn't just praising Cunningham, she was calling out the rest of the league. The Fever have changed. The culture's different. This isn't the same team you could push around last year. And she had proof. You want to know how locked in the Fever were? They shot 27 for 28 from the free throw line, 96%. That's unheard of in the WNBA, especially for a team known last season for late-game collapses and mental errors. And it's not just about the numbers, it's about composure. Mental toughness. Doing the small things right even after you've been fouled hard, shoved to the floor, or screamed at by the other bench. That's how you win tight games. That's how you change a team's DNA. Watch the replay of this game and something stands out. Movement, players cutting, constant motion, defensive rotations that actually make sense. No one standing around, no one afraid to get physical. This wasn't just a group of players trying to figure it out. This was a team, and the glue holding it together, Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull. One gave the buckets, the other gave the grit. Together, they created an identity this team lacked all of last year. It wasn't pretty. It was scrappy, aggressive, and emotional, and the fans loved every second of it. There's one thing bullies hate more than anything: when their tactics stop working. The Mystics tried to intimidate, but the Fever punched back. And the Mystics didn't have an answer. You could see it on their faces, in their body language. They were stunned. Even during free throws, players avoided eye contact. There was confusion on the court, missed switches, bad fouls, wild shot attempts. By overtime, they weren't just physically tired, they were emotionally defeated. That's the kind of loss that sticks. That's the kind of loss that makes a team rethink its identity. And Indiana handed it to them with no apologies. Cunningham's final line: 1 points, 8 rebounds, 6 of 11 from the field, 7 of 8 from the line, 1. Huge message sent to the league. But those numbers, they barely capture her impact. She drew 2 flagrant fouls. She ignited a comeback. She silenced a trash-talking bench. And she showed every young player watching what real toughness looks like. No flopping, no complaining. Just energy, execution, and revenge delivered with a smile. This is why Indiana brought her in. Not just for scoring, but for soul. The nickname started trending during the second half. Spicy Sophie. Fans started chanting her name. Clips of the body slam and her and one went viral within hours. Posts flooded Reddit, X, formerly Twitter, and TikTok. Sophie didn't just win a game. She won hearts. And this fan base? They've been starving for a player like this. One who embraces the smoke. One who talks back and backs it up. Caitlin Clark is the face of the franchise, but Sophie Cunningham might be its heartbeat. And fans are here for it. Let's be clear. When Clark returns, she'll be the focal point. But what this game proved is that the Fever are no longer a one-woman show. They have enforcers. They have defenders. They have shooters, scrappers, and vocal leaders. Last year, teams could push Indiana around and expect no pushback. Now, try it, and Sophie might body you. Try it, and Bonner will be in your face. Try it, and Lexi will strip the ball from your hands and run it down your throat. This team isn't soft anymore. They're dangerous. If you're a WNBA team looking at the schedule and seeing Indiana Fever coming up, be warned. They've got firepower. But now they've got fight too. They've got Sophie, who will take a flagrant foul and respond with buckets. They've got Lexi Hull, who's turning into one of the grittiest defenders in the league. They've got Bonner, Mitchell, Boston, and soon, Clark back in the lineup. This team isn't just better, they're battle-tested, and they're just getting started. So what did we learn? You can take Clark out of the lineup, you can foul Cunningham hard, you can shove her, slam her, mock her, but when the dust settles, when the buzzer sounds, she'll be the one standing in the winner's circle, smiling, pointing to the scoreboard and daring you to try it again. The Indiana Fever are reborn. Tougher, sharper, louder, united. The WNBA better watch out.